Welcome back to Cards and Comics. And I want to say I'm very happy to be back. I've been gone for a little bit, and I was on a business trip for about a week. I was in Spain. And being gone for a week and just absorbing content and just, watching people's videos in this hobby is giving me a little perspective. Now, one thing you'll notice is, if you follow my channel for a little bit, is I haven't really responded to a lot of the recent news or negativity that seems to be going around in the hobby. And the reason why I have a chart on the screen is because this is a chart from the 29 market crash and kind of the run up and the bounce back you see in this chart reminds me a lot of the current hobby. And if you look at the run up between 2018 and 21, the free fall that we currently are experiencing, and the hopeful bounce back at some point in the future, this is something that a lot of markets, a lot of collectibles, a lot of things have happened. So it's not unprecedented. It's not something that people weren't predicting. But to me, in the large part, the reason why I haven't spent a lot of time about it is because it just doesn't interest me as much as other things. I'm much more interested in going through my 90s collection, my vintage cards, and focusing on collection and, selling off things I don't want as much and buying pieces that I think are better for my collection and having fun going to shows. I'm getting ready to set up at a show pretty soon, 2 weeks, and doing those things. So, having this, constant negativity or positivity in the hobby is just tiring. And for people who've been in it a long time, these things aren't surprising. We've seen crashes and dips and, shenanigans with graders, auction houses, shill bidding. So it's not a surprise. But, what I want to talk about, as I go through here, this idea, of toxic positivity, being positive all the time, even at the cost of ignoring, problems and creating issues for other people by, basically just saying, suck it up and deal with it. To other content creators like, Sports Card Anonymous, having some good points here about, that sometimes the hobby does behave like a little bit of a high school, in that we kind of run around, again, pointing out problems without solutions, which is a trademark of the hobby, to just go around and saying, PSA, you need to catch every mistake and every alter card in the world, but we want our cards graded for $10 and 2-day turnaround. We're unrealistic as a hobby and as hobbyists. So, we don't really have good solutions a lot of times to fix real world problems. He had a second video where I thought he was great about calling out what I just said is coming up with solutions, fixing things, right? And I've that's been my major point. So the point of my channel since I started really about talking about the hobby is we need to start fixing things, like coming up with some ways to minimize some of these issues, right? We're not going to get rid of things, but we can fix things. We can educate, we can support each other, we can do things to make the hobby better. And I think if we spend as much time talking about those things as we do about what's wrong, we would definitely be further down that path. But, it doesn't get clicks and views as much as just saying things suck. And going back to this chart here, when we're in this middle of this free fall, the things that people are saying about how things suck really resonate because people are losing money. They, may have trusted people, trusted opinions, and then they realize that they've been led down a wrong path. Now, AIH, I appreciate the fact that he's been very consistent and, and talking about issues and not being, just saying, hey, everything is great. But I will say, I don't hear a lot of solutions from him either. And from other content creators, it's just not a lot of solutions. And even when solutions are offered, a lot of times they're unrealistic. And, 2 points we should always remind ourselves. One is, and I've said this on some other videos, is we don't hear all the conversations that are going on in this hobby. So again, the Jeff Wilsons, even someone like a Neo or someone like Justin from, Spidey Hits, they're having conversations with companies that we don't know about. Jeff's talking to Fanatics and PSA, and those are conversations we don't know what they're saying and what they know is happening that we just, have no information on. So we don't know everything that they know. So that's point one. We don't know everything that we think we know. We're speculating. We were guessing in some cases. Some people have more information than we do, and that's just the fact. And so we're, in a lot of points, just guessing on what we think is going to happen. Second thing is, these content creators and companies, in a lot of cases, are there to make money. So you always have to take anyone trying to sell you something with a grain of salt. There are rules on paid advertisements and content that's promoted because of that, to give you warning that you're going to get a biased opinion. And I feel like we've lost our ability to really understand what that means, that people have agendas, they are being paid by companies, and they're going to say things that helps the position of that company make more money. And so whenever an SGC, Peter from SGC or BGS or PSA or any of these companies come on to anyone's channels and talk, they're not there to just make, the hobby a better place. They're there to make their companies, more acceptable, to try to grow their share and to make more money. So we have to recognize that's what's happening and not expect that they would come on and acknowledge issues, offer real solutions that they can't actually do, and answer really hard questions, because that's not going to happen where we're at in the hobby right now. And that feeds in and fuels this negativity. Now, what I want to talk about, next though is, positivity, as not this idea of ignoring the bad, but as a way to keep wanting to be in the hobby and collect. And for me, it always starts with other people. It always starts with my other friends in the hobby who want to have conversations. And, having a 15-minute Instagram conversation with someone who wants to talk about their cards, loves something that you posted, or just is generally interested in your opinion, is, to me, awesome. It's like, it's what I caught into this whole thing for, to begin with, is to connect with people and to do something as a collective, to be part of something, right? So that's one of my solutions I want to give people, is this. And I've thought about it a lot, because I've talked a lot on my channel about interaction, right? A couple months ago I was pretty negative on my channel because my interaction was so low. Like, people weren't commenting, weren't just interacting, and that's the part where I really wanted, just to have conversations and have people say something to me and say, hey, I like this, I don't like that. And my challenge to everyone is instead of just hitting the like button, or on Instagram giving someone, a fire emoji, if you're interested in what the person has to say, put a comment, ask a question, see, what they really think. Because you'll be surprised at how many responses you get from people who are pretty well-known, collectors, influencers, or, people who have bigger platforms. You'll get responses and you'll get conversation. And that makes the hobby a better place. And having more of these collector to collector conversations is, I think, going to make the hobby more fun. And it's going to make things like where you don't feel like you're so much in a silo. Because I feel like sometimes when say the bottom's dropping on the market, you may have something in your collection, a toxic asset, and you don't know what to do about it, and you're too ashamed or you're too afraid to talk to someone about it because everyone on Instagram and YouTube acts like that they never have lost a single dollar in the market, or that, they've made more on the positive side to cover their negative side, so, it doesn't matter. I think if you were to go out there and say, hey, I have this card, or I want to buy this card, or I have a question, you're going to get a lot of great information, and you can really tell the people who want to share information and talk. And I just encourage you to engage more often with people on people's channels, on YouTube, Instagram, wherever you hang out, and start having real conversations, because, this idea of just scrolling through and just seeing everyone's stuff is cool, but having, actual interaction is even better. So that's my first way, I think, to make it more positive and have better interaction in the hobby, is having these conversations. And I do respect that AIH, talks about he wants to have real conversation. So I would say, if anyone ever wants to, have a conversation with me, my opinion, where I've been, the things I've seen, the experiences I've had with the hobby since 1986, have me on. I'll talk about it. I'm not a person that's got skin in the game in terms of being a paid by anyone person, so I can say whatever I want. That's one advantage of small channels and people who don't have those kind of ties, is we can just say whatever the hell we want. And I can say SGC's holder sucks. I can say, PSA, whatever negative thing I want to say about PSA today. I haven't had a lot to say about PSA lately. I'm sorry about that. I should think of something more negative to say, but I just can't think of it right now. Other than sometimes it misgrades. They all do, but, I haven't seen anything negative in a little bit, but I'm sure, give them a couple of days and I'll think of something. But yeah, the idea is guys, as this hobby keeps growing, and, it's debatable whether or not it's growing. That's one point I wish there was some real data on actual hobby growth. But as things get more, challenging, the thing is that if we engage each other and talk about things, it gets less scary. And then you'll want to stay in, maybe, collect some different things, find some cards you've never seen before, find a community that you didn't know about before, and stay engaged and stay into the, the hobby and have fun with it versus being so worried about money. And that's my second point. And that's the last point I'll talk about in this video today, because I'm still a little jet lagged from my trip. But the second point is, I know money is really important and it's part of the reason the hobby works for some people. But if 99% of what we talk about, either on, content or interactions with each other, is all about the value, then that's not going to grow the hobby, the community, your positivity. Because if all you're worried about is, financial issues, then to me, you're not really in the hobby for anything other than money, which is, to me, you fall into that, investment, banking side of the hobby, which I will admit can exist. But right now we're in this downward spiral. I can't imagine it's fun to just be in that side of the hobby right now. So I'd say is maybe content creation that isn't so focused on money might be more fun to watch, because I think that's what I'm really going for. I'm going for people who just don't talk about money every video and show off collections, talk about sets, talk about things that are fun, talk about, experiences at shows, and those things are much more engaging to me. So that's my 2 points. One is, engage more often with, anyone in the hobby, have fun, have conversation, really get in there and try to, if you have questions, get them asked, and you'll be surprised at the amount of people who will talk to you and give you great advice. Maybe you get bad advice, but hey, you're at least getting some interaction, right? And don't be so worried about the money side of it at this point, because no matter what anyone tells you, it's bad. And it's not just bad of sports cards, it's bad across Magic, it's bad across comic books. It's just right now it's not great because of the economy. So it's not surprising. So right now may not be the point to just keep continuously pounding down, top 5 videos going up, top 5 cards going down videos, and all these videos about pricing and all that stuff. Because to me, that's just a good way to get you depressed. So that's it. That's my take on this little situation going on. I'm going to get back to my normal content creation after this video, where I talk about cards and show off some mail days, open a few boxes of 90 stuff, try to pull some cool inserts, and I'll see you guys later with those videos next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.